Have you ever been scrolling on TikTok or Instagram and suddenly you come across someone crying in their video and you're like, what the hell? They've intentionally filmed themselves crying. Like, that's the most stupidest thing I've ever seen. And you throw your phone angrily, seething at the audacity of some people. Okay, maybe a bit dramatic, but maybe you've seen these TikToks or Reels and are confused by the whole thing. Fear no longer. I am here to tell you the honest truth. We're gonna get to the bottom of this. Social media is full of perfection, aesthetics, luxury lifestyles, travel adventures, happiness, and friends. And comparison is often the demon that pulls people into decline, into a deep, dark pit of hell. Again, a bit dramatic, but relatable. But life isn't like how we see it on social media. There's plenty of perfection, but there's less realism. I'm trying to break that. I post what others wouldn't because it's too vulnerable to share to the wider world, to potentially millions of people, which is very understandable. But here's the thing, we all experience low moments in our lives. We all experience the struggles. We just don't often see it. People don't show it, which again is totally understandable because it's vulnerability. On the whole, it's not socially accepted in our society to show emotions, and that is starting to shift now. But I feel like that is the reason why a lot of people, including myself growing up, push down emotions and pretend everything's okay and force a smile. And I've learned the hard way, that's not healthy, that's detrimental. My intention with sharing vulnerability online is to help people feel a little less alone and a little more connected. That's been my motto for years, and that is exactly why it's my shop's motto. And ever since posting these vulnerable posts online, I have had so many messages from people in a dark and lonely place thanking me for sharing the reality, for showing that they aren't alone with their struggles, because it's rarely seen on social media. And if I've helped just a few people feel like they are less alone with their struggles, then that is worth more than its weight in gold to me, because I know how it feels to be in that position. And so often when we are struggling with emotions, we feel empty and low. We tend to believe that we are on our own, but we are the only human experiencing that. And then we go onto social media and we see evidence of that because it's just a picture perfect life that is presented to us. Everyone is living their best lives, but you're not. Now imagine seeing a post pop up that you actually connect to, that reminds you that, hey, you're not the only one struggling, you're not on your own with this. And I think that can be really beneficial to help people feel connected. And I guess it kind of only really helps people who are struggling. Like, if you go on social media and you're in a really good headspace, you probably don't want to see some person crying on the internet. Fair enough, you go there to switch off, to get inspiration or whatever. So I guess it only helps a certain person. What am I trying to say? I guess it only helps people who are struggling. Why did that take me so long to come up with? I don't know. So here's the raw honest truth about my process. Would you even call it a process? I don't know. I guess it is. But let me get one thing straight. I've had so many hate comments saying, oh my god, that is so cringe that you do that. You're just doing it for the followers. Followers. Who just picks up the camera in the middle of a breakdown and films themselves crying? Who does that? Who does that? Bro, brev, bestie, look, hate to burst your bubble. That's not why I do it. The amount of followers you have doesn't actually amount to much in my mind. I would much prefer building a community, even if that's like 100 people, than have 100,000 followers. That's just what I believe. Being authentic and creating a loving community means way more to me than any follower count. So to do it for the followers kind of goes directly against those values. And I ain't about that. Having people follow you is terrifying. Subscribe! And here's the funny thing, people assume that I follow a set protocol, which goes something like this. I start crying, and then I think to myself, well, hang on, hold the tears. This would be great content for Instagram. And then I whip my phone out in the middle of a breakdown and start recording. This is how it actually happens. If I'm struggling, I'm feeling a ton of emotions, then I pick up my phone and I start talking to myself. That might sound sad that I'm sat there talking through my emotions to myself, but it helps me to process a lot of stuff. It's literally the exact same thing as writing it down in a journal. You are recording your thoughts in written format. But often I can't write quick enough for my thoughts, so filming just gives me the freedom to talk and make mistakes and let all of the emotions out immediately. And if the emotions do come out, that's when I start crying. So if I'm editing a reel, then I will cut all of the talking parts out for obvious reasons, and I'll just leave the crying parts in. Hence why you only see the tears and emotions. For example, I feel so lost and hopeless and low. Can you see how that is a completely different perspective? I think sometimes people assume that this is how it happens. There's no room for flexibility, like it's very rigid. But what if there's a different perspective here? What if we just stop judging people on face value? And I just wanted to answer that because I get so many questions and comments and DMs being like, why do you do this? Well, now you know. But the fact that people have such a big reaction to it shows how social media and our society have been shaped. It's this place where people only show the good parts of their lives. We rarely see the bad parts, and that's not a distinct reflection of life. The percentage of social media that only shows the good side far outweighs the reality of life, and that's where people get dragged down into this comparison pit of the perfect bodies and the incredible aesthetics and the luxury lifestyles, adventure, travel, whatever. Because life isn't always like that, and equally it's not all sad and emotional either. There's a balance there, and there should always be a balance in life. And yeah, you could say, well, why don't you just torture yourself instead of recording? And sometimes I do. There's a reason why you see the same clips being used in reels, because not every time that I'm upset I can verbally express myself, and not every time I'm upset do I record. There's logic there, people. But why record in the first place? Well, I find that having a visual journey helps to give a timeline of my life. A timeline of progress, regress, or distress. There's a lot of timelines. And I can look back at those moments and I can recall how I was feeling. I can see my thought patterns and see if I've changed and whatnot. And quite often, to be fair, I do forget a lot of things. Someone will be like, do you remember the other month when you were really upset about this? And I'll be like, no. It's a blessing and a curse. So creating a visual diary kind of helps to keep track of stuff in my life, stuff that's going on. I don't have enough space in my brain to keep hold of all of that. It's too much for my brain. And yes, my phone storage does hate me. And hey, it's not all sad. Sometimes I pick up my phone and I just talk through what I'm feeling, or if I'm excited about something, then I'll pick up my phone and talk. But often when I'm struggling with my mental health and I'm feeling overwhelmed and I just need to talk, I don't have to wait for a therapy appointment to come up. I don't need to wait for someone else to become available so I can talk to them. I just talk to myself because I'm right there. I'm available most of the time. Sometimes I've gone off somewhere else and we don't know where she is. And I find it's a form of self-help, just being able to verbally brain dump in the moment and have a record of that. And what I started to notice when I was doing this, sometimes when I saw my reflection, and I don't know if there's science behind this or whatever, but if I saw my reflection, my brain would see a human crying and instinctively it would want to help the human, even though it's me. So it kind of like, it doesn't make sense, but it's like my brain is separate. I don't know. My brain just sees a human crying and it's like, oh no, let me help you. Which kind of resulted in making me feel a little bit calmer. And I've also done this when I picked up a mirror before and I just stared at myself, which seems a little bit odd. But I think we've got the point now. I am a little bit odd. When I'm in full breakdown mode and I would see myself in such distress, I'd want to help the person. I'd want to help them, which it just sounds crazy, right? Because it's me that's crying. But it really has helped me before. Don't get me wrong, there are some times when I see my reflection and then I immediately can't handle the person who looks back. But if I stay with her and I push past the discomfort, there can be benefits with that too. So I don't record with the intention of posting it online. I just record as a form of self-help. And I found that you learn to talk to yourself in a kinder way the more you do it. This isn't a new thing for me either. I started filming videos of myself talking back when I was in school, because one day I noticed that my computer had a webcam app, and so when I clicked on it, like the webcam came up. That's hard to say. The webcam came up and I pressed record, and pretty sure for the first video I literally said nothing. I was like, hi. But very soon I would be coming back from school and I would be talking about my day. I would be regurgitating something that happened, and it was like a form of therapy for me, except from the fact that I felt exceptionally paranoid that other people could hear me talking to myself and talking about my day and stuff. So I was very restricted on what I said, or I'd be whispering like this. But other than that, it was a form of therapy to me. And I think it's really important to have a balance on social media. It's important to break the stigma of showing emotions online, because life is sometimes shit. Comparison can be cruel, especially without moderation. When you're constantly being bombarded with people living their best lives and you're out here feeling like an empty, lonely shell, washed up on the seashore. Fun times. I share my vulnerability online to help other people feel less alone. Like, that is it. There's no caveat to that. There's no secret hidden meaning, alternative subtext. No, that is solely what it comes down to for me. So the next time you see someone crying in a reel or a TikTok or whatever, try to remember this different perspective. And hey, I can't vouch for everyone. They might have their own reasons for doing it, but whatever way it is, they have shared their vulnerability online. So be kind to them. And if you can't be kind, then don't say anything at all. And if you're feeling like a failure and you're like you're really far behind in life, then you're gonna want to check out this video here. I'll see you in the next one.